Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Healing with Hila. This is your space for aligning, expanding, and reconnecting with who you truly are. I'm your host, Hila Ferguson. I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist, life coach, and energy worker. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. This episode started to form for me after the last one was aired. And my husband came to me and said, I really love this part about anxiety being a waste of your imagination. It really hit me. He suffers from anxiety. And so it was awesome to hear that feedback. And then I started to talk to other people and realized that that piece was really important and it resonated for them. And so I was called by my guides to create this episode that is focused on anxiety, worry, where our imagination plays a part, how our subconscious reacts to that. And the most important question is, how can we solve it? How can we bring ourselves into a place of balance, of feeling better? I want to talk about the piece around worry and anxiety. I was meditating and reflecting on it the other day, and it came so strongly that worry is a mental process. Worry is the mental process of the mind, and anxiety is the emotional process that is birthed from that. It really helped me understand it better. That worry sits more in the space of mind and thoughts, and anxiety sits more in the space of feeling, and that they're not exactly the same, but they are intertwined and they're very much linked. Then I found myself thinking about the connection between wanted and unwanted, and how it weaves into our space of worry and anxiety. My guides showed me that they're very intertwined, that those concepts weave into each other. The process of worry is very much connected to the imagination. You run a scenario within you that is centered around those thoughts of the unwanted. Most of the time, those thoughts produce that sense of worry, which then translate through the emotional system into anxiety. And worry is a feeling as well, but it's a much lesser feeling. Anxiety is worry deeply rooted, worry expanding. And if we come from the space that, right, anything we put our minds on, the universe says, you are right, here is more, it expands it. Then when we work through the process of worry, we expand it, and then eventually we'll expand it into anxiety. It will produce that deeper feeling. And so if worry is connected, right, to the unwanted, our step number one is to recognize what that is. Where are we focusing in our life that is the things that we do not want? And where do we find ourselves running those thoughts so much that they produce worry, which then can translate and deep root into anxiety? Because if we can't recognize where we are in our thoughts, it is harder to shift them. It's not impossible, but it's harder. That process of being mindful and catching your thoughts, being an observer to your thoughts, is a really huge process because it allows you then to gain the control back and make the choice of what thoughts to think. I really wanted to give you a general idea of our mind and how it works. I was just feeling called to create a little bit of clarity. So, our normal aware and awake state, our conscious space. I always laugh and say it's the space where you do your taxes. It's the space where you calculate is your beta. That's your conscious aware awake. And it's very much connected to the left brain. And it is the space where your brain waves are the fastest. The next level is alpha. And that's where our brain waves start to slow down a little bit. And technically, we are starting to enter what we would call the subconscious. Alpha is a space that is connected with slowing down, with daydreaming, beginning stages of meditation, beginning stages of sleep. And it's starting to connect more with the right brain. It's more of the space that we move into when we become a little bit more creative, a little bit in that slowing down process and inviting the imagination. It's also the most perfect space for worry and anxiety. You move into a space of imagination when you run your worry. And like we talked about, you run it enough times that it produces the deeper emotions of anxiety. Alpha is also that state where you start to disappear a little, where you drive on the freeway and you recognize your exit and you were like, where was I in the last 10 minutes? But it's also a space that you know that when your consciousness needs to take over, it would be here. If a car stopped short in front of you, you would be very present into that moment to push on your brakes. And so it's this dance between awake and dreaming. And it's a really, really powerful space of transformation. Alpha is an incredible space to make changes from. And so that's part of why meditation and hypnotherapy are such incredible processes, because they allow us to start changing these patterns in those deeper levels. We move a little bit deeper into theta. After that, brainwaves slow down even more. We are even more deeply connected to spirit in that space, moving deeper into a sleep process. In a sleep process, theta exists in both awake and asleep. And then delta is even deeper into more of that restorative space of sleep that I laugh that as a mother I never experience. I'm always like half awake. So we established that our worry is a process that's connected to our imagination. It's a process that's connected to our subconscious. It's a process that's connected to our right brain. And therefore, the best way to heal it, the best way to bring balance to it is to work on those same levels. Oftentimes, I have clients that come to me from a space of talk therapy where they feel very stuck. And the reason why is we just apply the simple rules of the universe. The more we talk about something, the more we experience something, think it, feel it, dream it, say it, speak it, the more we expand it, right? The universe says, you are right, here is more. And so if I try to heal my worry, and my space of anxiety by repeating and talking about it, what it feels like, why it's happening, how it feels in my body, the times it happens, what happens to the, processes within my mind and my body as it happens, where my thoughts go when I think about it. Um, I tend to create more of it. It's not necessarily a good process of healing it. And also trying to combat it and work with it from that fully conscious space doesn't really work, right? Remember, beta is that calculative, fully conscious space. And so getting upset at ourselves, consciously getting mad at a process that is a subconscious process is futile. It doesn't work. How do we change that, right? Again, we are going to recognize fully what it is before we can move into the process of shifting it. So, how does our anxiety and our worry tie into the unwanted process? We focus in our mind on something that we do not want. whether it's something negative happening to someone we love or ourselves, a meeting not going our way, a conversation not going our way, something our body is being challenged with. The focus is in the unwanted, and then it grows. Sometimes the unwanted produces fear, sometimes the unwanted produces anxiety and worry. We gotta recognize the unwanted. And once we get clear on that, we don't want to stay there. We don't want to spend a lot of time in it. We wanted to just immediately birth and produce for us the wanted. It's a great way to get clear on what we want in our life. So we want to change the process of our focus into the wanted. I want you to take a moment and think to yourself right now about your number one stressor, your source of worry and anxiety, a common one that you tend to run a lot. And I want you to recognize in this space how you feel about it and in what way do you run it? How do you imagine it? Do you tend to see it happening in your movie? Do you just feel it? I want you to just recognize how you're feeling and maybe start a statement in your mind with the words, I worry that. And I want you to take that statement of worry and I want you to put it in the frame of the unwanted. I recognize that what I really don't want is, I then want you to change the statement to what you really want. And now we got to run that track as many times as we can. We got to take the statement around what we want and run that. Every time we hear the other one, every time we catch ourselves running the don't want, every time we catch ourselves feeling the worry, every time we catch ourselves feeling the anxiety, we run that track. Because the more you run that track, the more you're going to create this new pathway for your neurons to fire. And the automatic response of your mind, of your brain, would be to go with a good feeling versus the track of the anxiety that's been run, versus the track of the worry that's been run. When you sit back and you recognize that your worry is a process of your imagination, and it is 100% equal to the process of your imagination of your next best vacation. There is no difference. It is the exact same process, same mind, same brain waves, same everything. One produces a feeling that you do not want. One produces a feeling that you do want. When you recognize that it all sits on the same level and it sends those rockets out into the universe that expand and give you way, way more back, you become a powerful creator in the way that you think and the way that you feel. You start to really shift and change those parts of yourself that you felt like were controlling you and not the other way around. So I really invite you to connect with this simple exercise. Move into a space of recognizing, understanding what it is that you do not want, and then changing the narrative and running that track. I wanted to share this next piece with you directly from my community that was brave enough and honest enough to share their process of worry, unwanted, and how they shifted it into the wanted. And so I hope that that inspires you to move into your own process and create a meaningful change in your life. So I want you to just take a breath and just think of a worry. Think of something that you run and start the sentence with, I worry that.
I worry that fear will take over my life.
And I want you to phrase it in the space of what I really don't want is.
I really don't want the fear to control my life and my decision making.
And as you breathe, I want you to turn it into what I really want. What I really want is.
I really want to feel freedom and authenticity and living an intentional life, not dictated by my perceived fears.
I worry that I've made too many decisions in my life for the happiness of other people and not myself. What I really don't want is to not let myself be free enough to explore and try and find something that makes me feel more fulfilled, but I can also make money to be able to live. What I really want is to move slower and find more peace in life and not always be thinking of and trying to reach some, expectation of myself that is not based on reality.
I worry that I might screw up my kids. What I really don't want is to be like my father. What I really want is to be a loving, responsible parent that my girls know they can always come to no matter what.
I worry that my son will not be okay. What I really don't want is to see him continue to be in a space of doubt and no confidence and suppression. What I really want is to see him take responsibility for his own actions and choices and decide to follow through and make changes to create a better situation for himself.
I worry that, honestly, I worry that sometimes things will work out exactly the way they need to. And that actually kind of frightens me sometimes. What I really don't want is to believe some of the untruths that I've told myself in the past. And so I do worry that I have to keep reminding myself, that was just an old belief and it's not real. What I really want is to have peace, all encompassing, even in the chaos.
I worry that I won't find somebody who cares deeply for me. What I really don't want is to keep hustling and trying to get them to care deeply for me. I don't want that anymore. I really just want to be me and loved for it, to call that in deeply.
I am so grateful for the vulnerability and sincerity of these beautiful souls that chose to share these pieces with us. But I want you to notice how our mind also tends to go into the negative when we talk about the positive, or the double negative when we talk about the negative. How even within describing what we don't want, some people started to describe what they do want. And when some people describe what they did want, they went into describing what they don't want. The two are so intertwined for us. And I want you to start to become more mindful and more deliberate in the way that you are thinking and creating through those thoughts. Your mind does not understand a negative. If I tell you to not think about a pink elephant, you are going to think about a pink elephant. And then you're going to try to tell your mind to stop doing that. Anything that we suggest to the mind is going to bring up, and then it's going to try to cancel. And so part of the art of affirmations is to keep them in positive tense. And to notice that if I affirm, I don't want to worry, all I'm doing is still expanding on the worry, because my body, my mind has to conjure worry first and then cancel it next. And so instead, I want to go into a space of I want peace. I want trust. And so again, I just invite you to notice your own process.
I want to talk more about affirmations. Many of us hear that word, especially amongst the spiritual community. Positive affirmations. What does that actually mean? Affirmations in general are just statements. They're just statements that we often say to ourselves and outside of ourselves. And so we affirm different things to ourselves all the time throughout our day, that inner dialogue that runs in our mind. And that ties directly into worry. We will run, I worry that. We run the scenario in our mind. We see it, we feel it, we think it. Eventually, we spend so much time in that energy that it increases and then moves deeper into our emotional system and eventually grows as anxiety. And so if our thoughts are what starts to produce the process of worry and then the move into the feeling of anxiety, if our thoughts are what is in control of that, then we need to start with that. We need to start with our thoughts. Step number 1, recognize what you're thinking. Become mindful of that inner dialogue. Understand it. Watch it. Observe it. When you begin to recognize that you are running thoughts, that you are running affirmations that don't serve you, that don't feel good, we utilize what we call positive affirmations to combat that, to help heal that. Okay, so a few easy rules. Affirmations need to be done in present tense. And the reason why is because the universe does not understand a dialogue of future. If we put anything in future tense, if we put anything ahead of ourselves, the universe will continue to expand that and affirm that for us. And so it would expand it being always ahead of ourselves, always being in our future and never in our present. And that's where people get stuck. Because to affirm something that you're currently not thinking, feeling, or believing, for many people feels wrong. They feel like they're lying to themselves, like they're cheating. They feel out of integrity. And they get stuck. So how do we get unstuck in this process? I find that my most favorite go-to is to just add a piece before the affirmation in present tense that affirms that I am willing. Because even though I'm not there yet, I don't have the abundance I need, I don't love and accept myself the way that I want, I don't love my body the way I wish I would. Even though I'm not there yet, I am willing to get there. I want to get there. In my present moment, I am willing to call that into my reality. And so when you attach I am willing to any type of positive affirmation, it becomes more authentic. It becomes more true for you. You are no longer lying. You are no longer out of integrity. You are willing. You are willing to call into your reality the reality that you want. You were just hearing some of the examples of my clients and my friends on how they started with their worry and then turned that into an affirmation that will help heal that specific condition. Another one of my favorite things to utilize when using positive affirmations in present tense is affirming that I am ready or I am willing to release. Again, I might not be in a space that can claim that I fully love and accept my body, but I am willing to release the thoughts and the beliefs that are no longer nourishing that. I am willing to release the processes within me that have been keeping me from reaching the life that I know I want or deserve. And you can make it as broad as you want or as specific as you need it to be. You can be willing to release a specific condition. I'm willing to release overeating. I'm willing to release the need to fill up my body when really my heart is what needs filling. A few good starts to that kind of affirmation is I am willing to release ... You can keep it broad. I am willing to release anything that is no longer serving me. I am willing to release anything that is not in my highest good to have. If I am willing to release feels easy, you can take it a step deeper and say, I am releasing. If you feel authentically in line with the process of letting go right now, you can invite it into your present. Another really important rule when working with positive affirmations is the frequency in which you are bringing them into your mind. I want you to imagine a big boulder and a very small stream that runs down that boulder. And a tiny small stream that runs down the boulder runs down the same path. And after a few years of running down the same path, it creates a groove in that boulder. And when the rain comes, the drops tend to gather in that groove and continue to flow down. Until we create a new groove that's deeper, until the water travel a path more traveled on that boulder, they will continue to flow towards that groove. And when the rain showers down, some droplets go in other directions, but the bulk of it will go down the groove. The groove is your belief. The groove is the affirmations that you were running that created that pathway, that have now created a condition of worry, created a condition of anxiety. And when the thoughts come, like the raindrops, they tend to travel down that groove. And so in order for this process of positive affirmations to begin to really make a difference, you have to run a new path. And you have to run it more than you ran the other one. The great thing about it now is that you are mindful of your thoughts and you have the ability to choose them. And you can choose to direct your water to flow down a different groove until it's carved into your boulder. And then the rain will come and the water will flow down the new groove, the one that feels in alignment for you, the new thought process. And so there's many ways to repeat them. I'm a visual person. I like to hang them around my house. I will pull cards of affirmation. I will make it into a process of action because it helps me remember. I apply the process that I taught you. Catch yourself in the worry. Get clear on what you don't want and then find what you do want and start running that. Run that path. Run that track. Being willing to allow a shift is all that's needed of you. You do not need to be there. The next really important layer and level of affirmations, working with positive affirmations, is to start embodying and inventing the feeling. We talked about it in our other podcast. The feeling is the space of which you create from. And so when you find the process of your wanted, when you find that affirmation, right? What I really want is an easy life. What I really want is for my kids to be happy. What I really want is to be a good parent. When you find that affirmation and you start running it, you start making that new groove with it. When you are willing, I am willing to become that. I am willing to invite that into my reality. Start inviting the feeling. What would it feel like if I had that want? If my positive affirmation came true for me? Once the process of worry has created that deep groove for you in your boulder, that now anxiety is part of your life, you have invited an unconscious process through that. And it's very hard to undo just with conscious work. So positive affirmations are wonderful. Do you remember that beginning when we talked about the levels? Affirmations sit in beta. They sit in our conscious mind because we choose them, we see them, we are consciously, actively saying them and calling them into our life. And we're going to run them so much until they become unconscious, until they become subconscious, until they become that groove in your boulder. But if you ran them already and created that groove of anxiety, now that sits in your unconscious mind. And many people feel very helpless in trying to shift a space of anxiety because they often reach into the conscious processes like talk therapy and therapy that is very rooted in consciousness. Even affirmations, they don't understand why it's not working. And that's where hypnotherapy and working with the subconscious, all those other modalities that open us up, guided meditations and NLP, and that's where those modalities are so powerful and they're so important. And I always love to invite the process of the conscious and the subconscious when I work with clients. We will incorporate talk therapy. We will talk about what's going on, and then we will apply these wonderful principles on how to shift our mind and work with these tools to shift and change some of these beliefs that are no longer serving us. But we will then take the process deeper into a meditation, into a space of connecting, into a space of your soul, inviting that healing process. Because you are a whole being. You are mind, you are body, and you are soul. And when we treat you as such, when we invite all the parts of who you are to come forward and to work together on this common goal, transformation happens fast. Transformation happens easily. Transformation happens joyfully. It feels good. And so I feel like it's only appropriate for us then to finish today's episode with another meditation. And so I invite you to just go on this journey with me, inviting full freedom in your imagination right now, opening up to anything that would like to present itself to you. If this is not a good time to take this moment and journey with me, you can always return to this process later. And if it is a good time, just take a moment. I always encourage my clients to bring themselves into a space where their body feels comfortable. The body has full permission to move and stretch as we meditate, to lay down, to relax, to feel supported. And so I invite full freedom for you in this process. Just give yourself the time and space to do so. Starting with a nice deep breath, feel yourself expanding, and then gently letting go. And another nice deep breath as you let go. Opening your imagination, inviting your mind to create the most beautiful hill, rolling green grass all around you, nature, open and inviting. You have seen beautiful, green, luscious hills before. It is an easy space to call into your mind, to feel it, to see it, to think it. Taking a few breaths on the space of nature. I'm gonna use my countdown, counting you down from 10 to 1, and just helping you let go. In my countdown, just inviting your body to get comfortable, adjust yourself if you need to, and just relax and let go. 10, as we just let go. Inviting relaxation in, it feels really, really good to let go. The more you let go, the better it feels. The better it feels, the more you let go. 9, just gentle relaxation as it flows through your body, becoming one with the breath. As you inhale and exhale, just beginning to soften the muscles and just relax. 8, it feels really good to take this moment for yourself. Feels really, really good to be here, to do this. And so you're inviting more of that in. 7, the better it feels. The more you invite that in, and the more you invite that in, the better it feels. 6, the relaxation is just flowing all the way through your body, and it just feels so good. And your mind begins to open up to that imagination. 5, to let go even deeper. 4, you're just letting go even more and just anchoring more in your journey. 3, inviting that imagination to flow and move more and more. Wildflowers surround you. The temperature is perfect. And you take a breath on that crisp, clean air. 2, letting go even more and just finding yourself completely connected to that space of nature. 1, fully there. As you look up into the sky, you're noticing thick clouds as they begin to roll overhead. The temperature is perfect. The day is wonderful. There is a coolness to the air and a warmth as well. It is just the way you love it. You hear a distant rumble of thunder, and you are starting to smell the rain as it's coming our way. Just taking a breath on the space. You might even want to invite into your mind that worry that we talked about in the beginning, that you chose to think about. The unwanted that comes with it and the feeling that is attached to that process. And the sky begins to open and the rain begins to fall. And as the water drops make their way down onto your body, they wash from you some of that worry, some of that belief. You can literally see the droplets carrying with it the energy, the darkness that was connected to that thought. Creating new grooves within your mind for that new process of thinking. Connecting you more with what you really want. And as the water washes down and through you, you invite that want into your mind. And you expand. What is it that you really want? Allow yourself to breathe that. Allow yourself to feel what it would be like if you had it. What life would feel like. What your body would feel like. What your mind would feel like. And you invite the water to continue to create this new groove for you. Move into the affirmation. I am willing to allow this into my life. I am willing to allow what I really want to come into my life. I am willing to release all that is standing in my way from my want to come into my life. And the water just feels so incredible. As they're creating these new grooves for you. Filling you up, filling your heart space up. You recognize that underneath all your wants is a space that just wants to experience deep, unconditional love and acceptance. And so inviting the water to share with you anything else that you might need. Inviting the space right now for you to just watch this process and inviting any kind of knowings into it. If the divine can whisper to you right now a message, what would it be? If your soul can tell you one thing, what would it say? Taking a few more moments now as we bring the process to a close. We're going to count up from 1 to 5, bringing your awareness back into this time, into this space, with ease, able to move about your day, feeling really good. 1, just opening up with gratitude, feeling so grateful for this moment, for yourselves, for allowing this. 2, as we fly back from that space in nature, back from that space with the rain, into your present moment, into your physical body. Mind, body, and soul weaving as one. 3, a nice deep breath, expanding your body with that breath, wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, stretching a little bit. 4, it truly feels as if we bathe you with that wonderful rain, feeling energized and refreshed to go about your day. And feeling at peace, perhaps more than you have in a very long time. 5, completely aware, awake, conscious, opening your eyes when you're feeling ready. Thank you so much for being part of this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Healing with Hila. If you'd like to hear more like that, join me on my Patreon page for exclusive content and my mini podcast, Midnight Thoughts. I'd love to hear more from you. Leave in the comments anything you would like for me to discuss in future episodes. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. So much love your way.